I was hoping to start this somewhere other than the usual spot, my kitchen, but my plans for this morning have changed, so we're gonna have to make do with the kitchen. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing really well. I'm so disappointed I'm in the kitchen. Every single video now, I feel like I'm in this exact spot, but I'm gonna be doing stuff other than just being here all day. I thought I would vlog today. I haven't been on camera in a little while. I've just been busy. There's been a lot of kids. Just my life. I don't know what my life has become, but it's involving kids. So my niece and nephew, who are 4 and 2, are over from the States for 6 weeks. They live over there, so I've been spending as much time as I can with them because they are so gorgeous and I don't get to see them that often. So I've been doing that. And then also Josh, my partner, has 2 kids who are 6 and 4. And so we've been spending a lot of time with them and trying to get them all together as well, because they obviously know each other and they don't get to see each other that often either. So we've been just doing a lot of kid related things. So I don't really recognize myself at the moment. But anyway, I have a day to myself today. Josh is overseas for work. I don't have any kid-related things to do, and I have a lot of work to catch up on. This weekend, I'm away for my Made Wild Snowdonia weekend, so that's my other business, my outdoors business, if you've not heard of it before. So I definitely need to prepare a few things for that weekend. Oh, I've just got a message. Okay, my dad's on his way. First things first today, and this is why my plans have changed, is I'm actually gonna go and view a camper van. I have been thinking about getting a camper van for, well, ages. I mean, if you probably don't see it that much on YouTube, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I became obsessed with van life trips. I did a lot of work with a company called Road Surfer, which is a camper van company. So I did a lot of solo overseas trips in camper vans and I became obsessed. It is just such a relaxing way of living. I genuinely have considered moving into a van full time. The only issue I have is, he's not here right now, the cat, Hugo. I just don't think it would work with him, and I just don't, I'm not giving him away. That's just not going to happen. So I don't know how that would work. But in the interim period, I travel so much for work, especially now I have an outdoors business as well. I spend a lot of money on accommodation, and it's not fancy accommodation. A lot of the times it's mountaineering huts or it's travel lodges, but even that's expensive nowadays. So if I go away for a week or 2 weeks to the mountains, I can be spending, you know, several £100s just on accommodation where I could just be staying in a camper van or camping. The other great thing about camper van is you have everything that you need in your van at all times. So it's really quite handy. So in so facto, to cut a long story short, I've been looking for a little while at getting a camper van. I narrowed it down to a small van instead of a larger Sprinter crafter type one, because that is just so cumbersome to be driving around all the time if I'm not living in it permanently. So I'm gonna look for a transporter transit size van. Josh already has a transit, so I know what they're like to be in. We often go away and it's not converted, but we'll just sleep in the back of it and it's ideal. So I viewed a van on Sunday. I'm gonna go back and review it today because there's a few things I want to check. I'm buying a second-hand van, like one that's already been converted and done. I would love to convert my own. I just really don't have that luxury of time. I think maybe in the future I would love to do that and do it as a long-term project, but right now just having a van ready to go would be the most beneficial thing. So I'm gonna even check this van out. My dad's coming with me. I went on Sunday with Josh, and so I just wanna go back and check a few other things, just things like the gas, because it would need the configuration of where the gas is needs to be changed. Maybe some of the configuration of the electrics needs to be changed as well. All, I'm sure, very boring stuff if you have no interest in camper vans. Other than that, I just have a ton of life admin to do. I have work to do. I need to train, I need to sort my house out because it is, I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but everything is just a mess. Like, I've got a jigsaw puzzle up there, like all this needs sorting, the kitchen's a mess, the cupboards, I've just been sorting them out because they are a mess. Upstairs, my gosh, do I need to have a clear out of stuff. I have just I don't even know because I don't buy anything. I will probably do an update on my training maybe throughout the day because I'm not going to sit here forever and talk to you guys because it will be boring to watch, especially in the same old background, doing the same old thing. So we're going to get cracking on. I did also put a post up on my community tab on YouTube last night to ask you guys if you had any questions. So I'll go through some of those and I will answer them. They are a real mixed bag of questions. They probably will vary over many different topics, probably calisthenics, weight loss, mindset, relationships, travel, etc., etc. So buckle in. We don't know what this video is going to be like. You don't know, I don't know. We're just going to go with the flow. In terms of training today, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do. Technically, I should be doing a lower body training session, so I probably will do that. I do also have a run that's scheduled for tomorrow, which, depending on how active I am throughout the day, I might end up doing today. We will see how I feel. I guess I could always run to the gym later. Run to the gym, do leg day, and then run back. It doesn't sound very appealing, does it? I don't know. And then also I could potentially climb. I had the worst climbing session on Saturday. I know this will shock absolutely no one, but I was injured a couple of weeks ago. I have a ligament in my lower back on my right side, which I strained years ago. And every now and again, I just annoy it, and I annoyed it. So it's been grumbling and a bit sore, but I've been training on it because I'm an idiot and I don't do the right thing. I do know better, but I just seem to be a glutton for punishment. So I've been training on it. And then also I have basically tennis elbow, tendonitis in my elbow, which I've had from the casino when I was a croupier years ago. It comes and goes, and for the most part it's very like grumbly in the background, but never gets too bad. Dips and pull-ups specifically really aggravate it. And I've increased my volume of calisthenics training and climbing. I did that simultaneously, and I feel like my body was just like, you're an idiot and we're not gonna put up with this. And then I was just climbing one day and I went to go and grab a crimp and just pull back, and that was enough to just, it didn't ping or anything like that, but it was just so painful. It was like someone was stabbing me. So I actually took 5 days off training completely, literally anything, because it was like my back was sore. My knee on my left side is also a bit screwed from when I fell doing that long trail run. I can't remember if I mentioned that on here. It might be on my shorts, but I full on stacked it 15K into a trail run, and then I had to complete the trail run because it was a loop and I was stuck otherwise. So I ran on it, and then I continued to run and do some really massive hiking challenges on it. And now I don't know what I've done. It's okay, but going uphill or up a curb or upstairs hurts it. So my knee was bad, my elbow was bad, my back was bad. That classic thing of if you don't listen to your body, at some point it will pin you down to the ground and it will scream at your face. And my body was screaming in my face, you need to rest. So that's what I did. But anyway, I went back to climbing on Saturday. It had literally been in a week and a half. It really hadn't been that long since I'd done any climbing, but I was on lead indoors and I was just terrified. If you don't know anything about climbing, then it might not make a huge amount of sense, but lead climbing essentially is when you climb up a wall and you clip the rope as you go. So every meter, 2 meters, there will be a clip that you can clip into. So naturally, as you climb past that clip, if you were to fall, you're going to take a bigger fall because there's flex in the rope, and obviously you're going to fall to the distance of the last clip. And that's the issue I'm having, is the fear of falling and the person not catching me. And that person is Josh, my partner. I do trust him, but I am just so in my head, and I literally was shaking and I couldn't bring myself to just even do easy grades. And I'd been there 2 weeks prior and I'd been doing like 6A pluses on lead, which is kind of my comfort zone, I suppose. Like that's my like limit in terms of mentally being comfortable. I never really push it past that at the moment. Anyway, it's definitely something I really need to address. I'm much better on leading outdoors for some reason. I still get scared, but I feel like I have a lot more control, and obviously I have the ability to place gear where I want to. I feel like I'm just gonna bring it into life, but because I've actually never taken a big fall outdoors, it's not as scary, whereas I haven't really taken a big fall indoors either. I just don't know. I'm just so in my head, and I was shaking and I couldn't finish these even 5+ routes, and it was really frustrating me. I actually genuinely wanted just to sit there and cry, and I'm not a huge crier, and I was just like, don't cry. Don't cry about this. That is the worst thing you can do. What is it going to do to help you to sit here and cry right now? But I was just so frustrated at myself and my head, like why it was getting in the way. Anyway, that's a little idea of what's coming up in the video. I'm going to go and finish getting ready for the day. I mean, I'm basically ready because this is what I always wear. Grey on black. I don't really wear makeup. I've already had a shower today, so I feel like I'm already kicking goals. My dad is dropping by to pick me up, and we're gonna drive together and have a look at this van. So I will let you know how that goes. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? I've never bought anything big. I don't spend money. I just spend money on like travel, but it's not luxury either. I just go to like mountaineering huts and go hiking, or I go camper vanning or whatever it might be. This would be the first time in my life that I've spent like a large sum of money, other than like moving overseas several times. Oh, it feels so weird, it makes me nervous, but I will catch you guys in a bit and we'll start going through some of these questions for the day. Righty-ho, I have just got back. Oh, by the way, I bought these shoes for trail running. Horrible, terrible, bad mistake. I don't know if I mentioned that in a video yet, but I was on the hunt for a new pair of shoes because the other ones were destroying my feet and just weren't suitable, which are the Scarpa Golden Gates. I love Scarpa, I hike in Scarpa, but just not suitable for trail runs. I mean, they were good, but I was just getting blisters because they're a bit too narrow. So I bought those, but they're way too spongy. And I thought that in the shop and I still went for them. What a rookie error. But anyway, back from the van. Van was good. It was a very positive second viewing. Went and took it for a drive, drives really well, and there's just a couple of things that I need to check over, like I said, the gas, all that jazz, and then potentially put in an offer. So that is very exciting. It's a bit dark in here, isn't it? Let's turn that up a little bit. And now, I've just got back, it's 12:30, and what I think I do is I've barely done any steps today. I've not been for my morning walk, which is not like me. I'm gonna walk to the gym, do a workout, I'll work at the gym, and then obviously I'll walk home and do a leg session. I will do, is it hip thrust day? Do I wanna do hip thrust day? I don't know, I'll decide on the way there. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna take my laptop because my gym has the climbing wall, but it also has a cafe. It's a really cool little setup, actually, to be honest with you. And it's super cheap because it's a charity run gym, so it's amazing. So I really love it. So I'm gonna go do that, smash out a load of work, and maybe I'll talk to you on the way or when I get back about some of these questions. But right now, I think I just need to get on the move, otherwise I'll probably end up doing nothing, and that is the last thing that I need. I'm gonna take some shorts as well, because it's actually super warm today, and it's taken me by surprise a little bit. Oh shock, I'm gonna take black. Gosh, I really need to get a new colour, because everything I own is black and grey. I mean, well, actually there's a little bit of pink on that. And on here. Also, I need to do a massive Vinted bulk upload, because I have so much stuff, like I said, that I just need to clear out. I'd like to say I'm going to get that done today, but as in not on Vinted, but just the clear out, but it is very, very unlikely. Read that as it's not going to happen. Oh, look who's here. Hey, buddy. How are you going? How are you going? You want to go outside, don't you? And Mummy's going away, so you can't. I'm sorry. I must say, Hugo has been so good recently. He's just been like a little darling of a cat. I don't know why he's been in such a good mood. I think it's because I've been at home quite a lot, just because I've not been traveling quite as much as I normally do. And I think he's enjoying that. So yeah, he's been very, very sweet, bless him. Right, shoes. I often get questions about my gym shoes. I'm currently wearing, these are like my OG faves, I wear them all the time. Reebok Nano. But I wear the X1s, they don't do them anymore, they're on to like X4s now. I have X2s, and I just don't like them as much because the X1s have a much higher back to them, which is way more comfortable in my opinion. Right, what else do I need? I need notebook, I need a laptop, SD cards, headphones, need a water bottle, I'm really into canvas bags at the moment. I just have found them so useful, like the long ones that you can carry groceries and stuff in. I just use it for everything, so I'm taking that with me. They're great because they compact down so easily. Right, water. Probably should take a jumper because I will get cold. Shorts. Vest top. Why is it that I always think I need to take hardly anything with me, and then I start packing and my backpack is full? And finally, some sunglasses, because I'm pleased to report the sun is a-shining in the UK. All right, let's go to the gym. So, back from the gym. It was a good session, a little bit convoluted and long because I ended up just chatting to the guy that runs the gym and one of the PTs there and a couple of other people that I knew. So it ended up being like 2 hours long, which is not ideal. And then I took the long route home because it's such a nice day and I wanted to get some steps in. And that leads us to now. So I thought we could sit down and I've put up the questions that everyone's asked and I thought we could just chat about them. Like I said, it's probably going to be a real mixed bag of topics because I just said anything, but we'll just see what we get, I guess. So I'm just going to start in no particular order. Do you have any advice on how to deal with weight loss and menstruation? I feel like every time I have some kind of success with weight loss, it all goes away when my cycle hits and I eat everything that's available. Okay, so the main concept with weight loss is consistency is key, and we're talking long-term consistency. We're not talking weeks and months, we're talking years. Doing something that you can sustain and you can maintain for that period of time. If you are looking at 1 week of the month or a couple of days of the month where you're eating a little bit more, then it shouldn't be counteracting you being in a calorie deficit for the rest of the time if you're being consistent. That being said, everyone's affected differently by their menstrual cycle. So if you have a particularly hard time, then you might want to work around that, knowing that that's coming in the month. That means maybe being in a slightly bigger deficit leading up to it, or it could also mean just at that point, expecting or allowing yourself to go up to maintenance and just doing that for that week. Sitting at maintenance for that week so you have that additional energy, allowing yourself to have even maybe a little bit more, being in a surplus, whatever works for you, but ultimately working out that within the month you're still remaining in a deficit. I would honestly say outside of that, it's just all the normal rules apply. Everything is going to be personal to you. So you just need to find a way of being able to keep yourself in that deficit or at maintenance and manage those things. So looking at what you're eating, are you still having good sources of protein, fats, fiber, so you're keeping satiated? Are you still hydrating yourself? Are you prioritizing sleep? Sleep can be affected in your luteal phase, so trying to make that environment as best as possible, managing stress, having high volume foods, allowing yourself to have the foods that you're craving, etc, etc. The list goes on and on and on, but just trying to work out what's best for you. Will you be doing a refreshed version of the calisthenics training from scratch? So just in case you're not aware, a couple of years ago I did 30 days of uploads. So I did upload every single day, and that was essentially everything that you would need to get into exercise and learn about nutrition for weight loss. Literally everything that you need. So you could watch those videos. There was 3 workouts a week. There was a challenge workout a week, and then there was 3 educational videos as well. It is literally everything you need. So if you ever want that for reference, you can go back and check it. I put it into a playlist. In terms of calisthenics, I have planned out a 30-day couch to calisthenics program, which I'm waiting to film. I need to film it. And that will be going up on my app. So just in case you're not aware, I have a workout app. It's on Playbook, so it's all linked down below. You can get 7 days for free to check it out. Already on there, I've got a beginner and intermediate calisthenics program. I have a handstand program, a pull-up program, a high intensity interval training program. I've got core circuits, mobility stuff. There's all sorts of stuff on there. So if you want to check that out, it's linked down below. So you can have a little look. Like I say, you can get 7 days for free. So you can just check it out and see if it works for you. And that is where my calisthenics program is going to go up onto. I will probably make some YouTube follow along workouts from some of those workouts on the app. So you'll be able to follow some of them along, but they won't be the full 30 days, obviously. So yeah, you can check that out. I also have ebooks as well. So if you're not really I want to be on technology type person, you can check out the ebooks. I have a beginner and an intermediate one, so they kind of follow on from each other, and you can do them at home. You don't need any equipment or anything like that. If you had to start again with weight loss and muscle building, what would you change? Your tips for a healthy relationship? Good question. I honestly don't think I would change much at all. Because, is that the right answer? I was very naive when I lost weight. I really didn't know a lot of information, and I think that was a good thing. And when I say I didn't know a lot, I literally didn't even know what a calorie was. I just knew I was eating way too much, so I started eating less. I didn't exercise, so I started moving more. I just did whatever exercise. I did those DVDs and just followed those mindlessly. And then the more information I've learned, the more I know, it's now become my job. I honestly think it makes it harder, and that is a bit of an issue nowadays because there's just such a big abundance of information out there. You can just get overwhelmed with information. I would honestly say that was a huge benefit. So if you're at that point, then trying to not get immersed in too much information would probably be a good thing. On top of that, and this is one thing I don't regret because it's not something that I did. It's something that I didn't appreciate. And that is within strength training, how good newbie gains are. When you're new to resistance training, strength training, calisthenics, whatever it is, any type of training, your body responds so well, so quickly. It doesn't feel like it at the time, but so quickly. And it is incredible how much adaptation and change and progress you can see. But year on year, if you try to maintain that, the progress is a lot slower, and trying to see that level of change is so much harder. And I'm probably, I don't even know now, maybe like 7, 8, maybe even more years into this. No, probably about 7 years into this. And it feels nigh on impossible sometimes to see progress. But if I take up a new form of training, I tend to see progress quite quickly. So just appreciating how good newbie gains are, because trust me, it is so good. It is so good. I suppose one more thing, this is very specific to me, would just be trying to keep on top of mobility and flexibility, and actually working on those things all along and getting into a good habit of prioritizing those things, because it's something I never did and I never have done, and I still don't do because it's so hard. And I think it would have really helped me in managing injuries and progressing in some of the skills that require mobility and flexibility and compression strength, which I don't have. So I would say that would probably be one, but it probably is quite personal to me. Okay, so it's a slightly longer one. I am bombarded with content about lifting heavy, progressive overload, reps to failure, etc. But as a cardio queen who loves the Stairmaster and functional fitness, I'm worried I'll never change my body shape without focusing on strength. Is it possible? My friend is a PT and said I need to drop 3 cardio workouts and replace them with targeted strength training. But I would hate that. Would love your thoughts. Oh, obviously there's not a huge amount of detail about what you want to achieve with your body composition, but if your goal is to change your body shape by increasing muscle mass, your PT friend is probably on the money. I would say if you were doing cardio every single day of the week, or 5 days of the week, I mean intense cardio 5 days of the week, and you were also trying to train, you can 100% do that, but it's just going to be a little bit more challenging. You need to make sure that you are prioritizing protein, you've got your nutrition on point essentially, that you're really trying to progressively overload those strength training sessions. The risk is that you will get really exhausted and it will be hard to maintain those levels that you need to. And also your cardio will be basically negating some of the work that you're doing with your strength training. So what I would suggest is doing your cardio still, because that's great for cardiovascular health. It's great for the enjoyment because you obviously love what you're doing, etc., etc. We know there's lots of benefits to it. And then adding in those 3 strength workouts a week, working with progressive overload. Yes, you need to be pushing yourself. If you want to grow muscle, you need to be pushing yourself to that point of almost failure, and making sure that you're progressing it over time. And then if you really can't take the cardio out of those days, leave it in, but just lower the intensity a little bit. So that would be my suggestion. You absolutely can. It's just going to be challenging. And I would really suggest lowering the intensity of those cardio sessions and making sure your nutrition is on point, and within strength training, making sure you're pushing yourself. That is if you want to build muscle and change your body composition. If that's not a massive priority, then you just do you. I hope that answered your question. Probably not the answer that you wanted to hear though. Okay, this one's about traveling. I'd love to hear about solo traveling and becoming more independent. Finding a work-life balance while having to juggle lots of food intolerances would be so beneficial to me as well. Also, I'm okay, we're moving into a different thing here. So I have always been a pretty independent person. I moved to Australia when I was 19. I just didn't come home until I was 30. But that being said, I'm a massive people pleaser, and I never really would do things alone. I would always do it with other people. And then back 2 years ago, around New Year's, I decided that there was hobbies that I had and things I wanted to do that I couldn't find people who were also interested in doing it, or they just didn't have the time. And so I decided, even though it crushed every people pleaser bone in my body, to start doing things by myself, to solo do things. So I booked myself a trip to MadiRaa and I went there for a week, and that kind of really kickstarted everything. I actually went there because it was off the back of a week of skiing, a week of being overseas for work, and then another week of being overseas for work. And I was kind of exhausted, but also really behind on all my work. So I thought, right, I'm gonna book a holiday, I'm gonna book an all-inclusive hotel, I'm gonna go and sit in that hotel for 7 days straight and just work. And I landed in MadiRaa and I saw this island, because I'd never thought about MadiRaa, I'd never been there, I'd never read about it, nothing. And I landed and I was like, oh, I'm not sitting in this hotel, no way. So I immediately hired a car and I went out hiking every single day, and I just loved it, like every single moment. I didn't eat anything in the hotel because I was gone before breakfast, I was back after dinner. It was just the best week ever. I got no work done, but it was so good. And it really kickstarted my love of doing things by myself. From the back of that, I started to travel a lot on my own. I started doing a lot of hiking on my own. I started doing camper van trips by myself. And honestly, I just loved the feeling I got when I was by myself. It's something that I can't really describe or put into words because it's so different. This, however, though, I do maintain is that I always get that feeling of homesickness just before I'm about to leave or the first day of a trip. So when I'm leaving, I'm like, I don't really want to leave. I don't want to break my routine. I don't want to pack. I don't want to go and all that. And then as soon as I'm there, after about a day, I'm just so happy. I'm so at peace. Even my resting heart rate will drop by like 5 beats per minute. It's crazy the effect it has. It's just something about being on your own terms, being on your own time. You see everything differently. You interact with people differently because you're on your own, and it's just such a good experience. And so clearly I'm a big advocate for solo traveling and doing things by yourself and being independent, but also it can be a little bit nerve-wracking and a little bit scary. And what you'll realize is that you'll get yourself into situations or things will happen and you'll always figure out how to solve it. So then it starts to give you this confidence that you can take on most things and everything will be okay. So 100% back doing it. I honestly think getting into it is just baby steps and just actually starting to do it. It's like most things. Stop thinking about it, stop doing the research, stop asking other people for their permission to do things, start the ball rolling and then build from there. It does tend to just cascade. So you could go on a little trip in your own country, you could go somewhere that you're familiar with, you could go with somebody and then do a portion of it by yourself, whatever it might be, and then start building up. But I honestly would back it and I think it would be amazing. This is a great way for me to segue into my business, but if you are looking for like a solo trip, but you're not sure you want to do it completely by yourself, you could just join a group who go and do those things, but you don't know anyone. So that's like a little stepping stone. And I have a company that does that, Made Wild Adventures, link down below. So you can come on weekends away. We've got one this weekend, like I mentioned, in Wales, where we've got 15 women coming down and we're just going to go hiking, and they don't have any experience in it necessarily, but you get to learn that, make friends, get out of your comfort zone, do a few different things. So you could always do something like that as well, which might be amazing. And there's tons of companies doing stuff like that, so you could check out that. All right, so we're going to do a full U-turn with the next part of this question, which says, how can I tell if I'm overtraining or just having a low energy day from life or hormones? It can be hard, especially if you're new to it, to differentiate between the two. So I would say that the main difference would be if it is a really sustained feeling of low energy, it's probably overtraining or lack of good nutrition, etc., etc. Looking for signs of things like your mood being unstable, constantly changing, your temperature regulation being difficult, that you're getting niggles from training as well, maybe little injuries here and there, but you're always getting these. It could be that you're really hungry all the time or that you are not hungry at all. That's also a good sign of it. But ultimately, it's going to be a slightly bigger picture if you're overtraining and not fueling yourself properly. You're going to notice it for a much more sustained period of time. If you just wake up and you're just feeling a bit, it's most likely going to be you've just slept badly, maybe you've had a couple of days of high training, your body just needs a little bit of rest. If you're noticing that week on week on week, the chances that you might be overtraining or you're not fueling yourself properly. Okay, all right, next up. Do you have any tips for eating more protein besides eating more meat, protein shakes, and avoiding chickpeas? So yes, obviously I don't fully know your dietary requirements, but a lot of dairy products have a really good amount of protein. Things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese are really good. If you can eat eggs, eggs are a fantastic source of protein. Looking at around 9 grams of protein per egg, and they're relatively low calorie. Fish, I don't know if that comes under meat for you, but fish is a really great one, especially white fish. Of course, there's always options like nuts as well. So what you could potentially do is have your normal meals and think about what you could add protein-wise into that to increase the protein. So that means you've already got your base of your meal, and then you're just looking at the additional protein bits that you can add in. Okay, this is an interesting one. Hi Lucy, I'd be interested to know what coping or calming activities you do when stressed, perhaps. It's something I find difficult to manage, instead always turning to food and self-soothing, which distracts from long-term goals. Great question. So common, so common. To be honest with you, I love food as a coping mechanism sometimes as well. And technically there's nothing wrong with it. I guess the issue mainly comes when it's, like you say, pushing you away from your goals, or there's negative emotions attached to that once it's happening, or it's happening on a regular basis so much that it is actually impeding you. So it is okay every now and again to find comfort from food, and we all do it. But in terms of that, I think the main one is keeping yourself busy in some way and finding something that helps you relieve that stress, which is personal to you. So again, everyone's different, which is why I can't really give you a specific idea of what you can do. But in terms of myself, I find certain forms of exercise are really helpful. So I genuinely love climbing. I would go climbing and just go bouldering for a few hours. It's a massive stress relief, and the reason why is because I have to be focused on what I'm doing and I'm not really thinking about anything else that's going on. So that's great. Other things, puzzling. I showed you my puzzle earlier. I'm doing puzzles or just doing some sort of creative outlet type thing. So artwork for me, drawing, painting, colouring in, that sort of thing. I'm no good at it, but it is actually really enjoyable. Another great one is like going and socializing. I'm not a huge, massive socialite, but I do have a really good circle of close friends, and I'll regularly go out with a friend for a coffee and just have a good natter for a couple of hours. And not only is that gonna get you out of the house and I suppose in a way distract you, but also it's stress relief. You know, you're talking about your problems or you're distracted by it and having a good time with someone that you care about and love. So that's always a good option. You could also just try joining some groups that you might have. It could be a group for dancing. Next week, I have organised a date night for Josh and I'm taking him salsa dancing. Neither of us have done it before, but did I just say salsa like the food? I meant salsa, I think. Salsa dancing. It's the same thing really, isn't it? Anyway, we're going salsa dancing and it's so far out of my comfort zone and remit, but I know that he'll love it, so we're gonna give that a go. So little things like that, just have a look around, see what you can find. But I think the main thing is just keep yourself busy. You know, even if it's just stuff in the house, you might not want to do it, but once you actually start doing it, you get really absorbed into it. And so things like that around the house can also be great. How do you stay motivated and follow a consistent schedule? Oh, I feel like it's such a burning question that so many people have. Honestly, I do feel like motivation is a myth. Just to plug something else, I wrote an article about motivation being a myth about a week ago, so I will put it down below. You can go and check it out. It's really down to habit and discipline. And those are the two things that you have to grow. Initially, if you have some motivation for something, brilliant, but you can't rely on it. So trying to look for motivation all the time to keep you going is not ideal, but being able to get yourself to a point of discipline is what we really want to work towards. For example, you're disciplined enough to brush your teeth twice a day, even though it's not an enjoyable task to do, but you do it because of the greater good, and it's something that's so habitual now that you just do it without thinking. That's kind of what you want to get to in terms of whatever you're trying to achieve, whether that's looking after the house, whether it's something to do with work, something to do with relationships, something to do with your health and fitness. And to do that, I always recommend this, but a great book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Whoa, it cut me off. It's about building an environment that makes those habits as easy as possible to put into place. Once it becomes a habit and you've done it for a while, you can become disciplined to do it, and it's the building blocks of then building to work towards a goal. So I recommend listening to or reading that book if you haven't. It's a brilliant book, but we're not talking about motivation. It's a load of whack. It's not going to be there all the time. Yes, there might be days where you're more motivated and some days you're not, but ultimately it needs to get to that point of discipline. Otherwise, you just simply won't achieve what you want to. And if you're okay with that, then that's absolutely fine. But if there's things that you really want to achieve, then that's important. Also, having a really strong reason for why you're doing it is very helpful, and being able to reflect back on that. So have a good think about that. Find out the reason why you want to achieve something. And if you're really driven to do it, you'll do it regardless. How have romantic relationships changed following your weight loss and getting into fitness? Oh my gosh. I feel like I make a whole separate video of this because I've not really thought about this, but I actually would say that my relationships have gotten a lot worse since weight loss and getting into fitness, but it's not due to other people, it's due to me. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I struggle a lot with body dysmorphia and body image. It's obviously come from the fact that I lived my life one way the whole of my life, and then in my late 20s, it completely flipped on its head. And no one in my life now really knew me then, just because I moved countries and I've completely changed careers, and etc, etc. And I find it really hard to separate those two. For example, my boyfriend now has only ever met me how I am now, which is the way I look now, and into health and fitness, into hiking and climbing and doing all those things. I feel like I'm an imposter and I feel like I'm a fraud, and that I'm just waiting for him to catch me out, even though that is who I am. It's a really bizarre one to get my head around. I have done a lot of work around this, and I must say I've gotten a lot better at understanding it and how it has impacted my relationships. But oh my gosh, there's way too much to go into in this video. If you would like a video on this, I am more than happy to chat through it, but I need to get my thoughts clear because I could just ramble and ramble and ramble. But essentially, I would say the reason why the relationships feel harder now is just to do with me, my relationship with my body and my insecurities / self-confidence, I would say. So very much something that I'm working on, but would need an entire whole video. In terms of how they treat me, I've always been in long-term relationships. I was in an 11-year relationship from the age of 19, then that broke off, and then I was in a relationship for 4.5 years, and then eventually I was single for then like 1.5 years, and then now I'm in a relationship. We've been together for a year. So I've always been in relationships. In terms of dating, I don't really have a comparison because I was in that long-term relationship when I lost the weight, so I don't really know what it would have been like prior to losing weight. But generally I've just always found dating quite easy. I literally could talk the hind leg off a donkey, and so people just get captured by me and I just talk and talk and talk. They're probably relieved to leave, but I've always found dating fairly easy, and I naturally like talking to people and getting to know people, so that's never really been an issue. But I do have massive issues, but again, I'm working on it, with needing hyper independence and feeling like I can trust people and their intentions. But that's not come, I don't think, solely from losing weight. I think that's come from lots of other things as well in my life. So yeah, I could always make another video on this because it's very much still appropriate in my life. But great question. First of all, your calisthenics journey is so impressive and you're such an inspiration. Thank you very much. I've always been skinny and trying to start calisthenics to build a better body but also have fun. Unfortunately, I have a little injury on my elbows. Me too. How do you deal with injuries? How do you prevent them? In terms of preventing injuries, just be smart with your training, make sure you're fueling yourself properly, stretch, do your mobility, etc, etc. Listen to your body. Sometimes you can't avoid injuries, sometimes they just happen, and I get a lot of injuries because I'm, quite frankly, dumb. I know better, but I still train on injuries. I'm too stubborn, I enjoy training too much, I get carried away, and I feel like I'm nearly always injured, as you have seen on this channel so many times. In terms of managing them, I feel like it has gradually built up, and I have gone through all the peaks and troughs, and now I manage them a lot better. I think the main thing is, firstly, there's always something else you can do. So no matter what, like if you see me on a bike in the gym, you know it's all gone tits up and I'm injured on every area of my body. So there's always something that you can do. But secondly, there's a silver lining in every injury, whether it means you find another form of training, whether it means you appreciate exercise a lot more because you can't do it, whether it means you're giving your body the rest that it requires. There is always a silver lining. Even if it just gives you empathy for other people that have got injuries, then it makes you appreciate that. So look for the silver lining, and also then know that this too shall pass. Like, it will get better. You can do something. Go and get a treatment plan or know how to treat it and actually do that. And having those proactive steps towards treating it makes you feel at least like you're doing something and you have an idea of how long it's going to last. If it's getting better, I recommend, but if not, make sure you have a good understanding of what's going on and know that it will pass. But unfortunately, injuries tend to be a part of it. Let's see if I can squeeze one more question in. How do you deal with your fears? Oh no, that's such a good question. By facing them, essentially by facing them. I have a massive fear. I don't have that many fears that I know of, but I have a massive fear of lead climbing indoors at the moment, like I mentioned, and the main way for me to overcome it is to go and do the blooming thing that scares me. And the more exposure I have to that, the less scary it becomes. The more you bury your head in the sand about something, the bigger and scarier that fear becomes. I have such a great analogy for this that my psychologist gave me when I was dealing with panic attacks years ago, and I always remember it, but I don't have enough time with a flashing battery to actually try and squeeze it in. But it's a really great way of thinking about it. Essentially, don't turn away and cower in the corner at your problems. Face them face on in a controlled environment if you have to, and they will become less scary. All right, this is gonna be the last one because I really don't think that I'm gonna have time to answer it all. There I was worrying about the battery running out, and I had a camera with a fresh battery sitting right next to me the whole time. What an idiot. Right, I'm gonna do one more question because otherwise we'll be here forever. Well, I think I've gone a bit too bright with that, haven't I? We'll be here forever talking about this, but I thought this was a good one to finish on, which is, how do I deal with criticism, especially from people closest to you? I feel like I'm on display. When I gain weight, it's pointed out immediately. When I lose weight, it's apparently I'm too slim. Why do people feel like they have the right to judge other people's bodies? Here. I asked myself the same question, but I made a reel about this, or a short about this, a couple of weeks ago. It was basically real things that people said to me before losing weight, people that were quite close to me, and then things that some of the same people had said after I lost weight, and they were all really negative. It just seems that you can't please people, and I realized very quickly, as I'd like to say reformed people pleaser, but a people pleaser nonetheless, that I learned that you just have to do you and really not care about what other people think. It really truly is generally a reflection of how they feel about themselves, or an insecurity they have, or some beef that they have with someone in the past, and nothing to do with you, and they're just taking it out on you. I genuinely would say try to block it out and not put too much emphasis on what they say. I know that can be really hard, especially when it's people close to you in your life, but if it's making you happy and you're healthy and you're not doing anything to hurt other people, then it has nothing to do with anyone else. Doesn't matter if that's your parent, your partner, your best friend, a sister, a brother, a child, whatever. Like, you need to do you, and that is the most important thing. I have such an urge to just answer all these questions. Maybe I'll just save it for another video, because otherwise this video is going to be so long. Yeah, I'm going to stop reading these because there's so many good questions that I want to answer, and I just know that I will not stop myself if I just keep talking. I guess I'll just leave it there, and you'll see what I end up getting up to in the next clip. Hello, I got back from climbing about 20 minutes ago, and it is now extraordinarily late. It's 9:15, oopsies. I got talking to some friends I saw there, and there was also a guy there that he's actually a really good climber, and he gives me some really good advice. But he came up to me and he was like, "Have I seen you in an advert for something?" And I was like, "Maybe." And he was like, "For some gym gear?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably me." So I got talking to him. I've spoken to him nearly every week, but he's never asked what I do for work, so we never told him. So I was telling him I'm a personal trainer and obviously doing calisthenics and stuff. And then we got talking about calisthenics, and if you get me talking about calisthenics, I will not shut up. The poor guy probably felt really trapped. So I ended up talking to him for ages. Then I had to go to the grocery store, and that's led us to now. However, I was umming and ahhing about whether I should work or whether I should climb. And I 1000% made the right decision. You know, we were just chatting about what you do as a stress reliever and all that jazz. This is exactly what I do. Like, I was, oh, should I go climbing? Is it a waste of time? I don't know. I went, I climbed the best I've climbed in ages, which off the back of last weekend, I really needed, and I really enjoyed it. And of course there was like some level of socialization there as well, because I saw people there and I met someone new, and like it was just all around good time. So happy days. I am now going to obviously make my dinner because it is very late, and watch some TV while I do it. I am watching The Real Housewives of Melbourne again at the moment. It's a great reminder of my one true love, Melbourne. A place that used to be my home and was my home for the longest time ever in my life. So I'm watching it for that reason, really. And it's also just easy to watch, isn't it? So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna chill, and then hopefully I'll wake up. Tomorrow will be a nice, productive day. I'm gonna smash out a load of work, get my walk in, all that jazz, and I will edit this video as well. But anyway, I will leave you on that note. I hope this video doesn't end up being super duper long, but I feel like it might be. So I should probably zip it and let you guys get on with your day. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you as always. I hope you have the most beautiful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. What's up?